Welcome to the Hidden Monstrum, where we illuminate the stories of those victimized by true crimes. In this Through Their Eyes series, we get a glimpse into the thoughts of those whose lives have been altered forever, offering a unique perspective rarely seen in the true crime genre. Through fictional depictions, we explore what might have been going through the minds of those who suffered at the hands of others. While nobody can say for sure what their frame of mind was, we have taken liberties based on public cases to help share their voices in these true crime stories. Our focus is not on glorifying the perpetrators, but on honoring the experiences of the victims, shedding light on their stories, and considering what they might have done differently to help others avoid similar fates. Join us as we bring these voices to life, offering a gripping, empathetic, and insightful look into the darkest corners of true crime, all from the perspective of those who deserve to be remembered. Viewer discretion is advised. It was a night of fun and laughter, until it ended in horror. My name is Martinko, and on August 13th, 1977, I was murdered at a sleepover with my best friends. We were typical teenage girls, talking about boys and fashion, laughing until the early hours of the morning. It was supposed to be safe, a sleepover in a quiet neighborhood. But by the end of that night, I was dead. Around midnight, we decided to sneak out for a late-night walk. We thought it would be fun, an adventure. But as we strolled through the empty streets, a car pulled up beside us. A man stepped out smiling, saying he was lost and needed directions. We didn't think much of it at first, but before I knew it, he grabbed me, dragging me toward his car. I screamed, but my friends were too scared to help. They ran. I fought with everything I had, but I wasn't strong enough. He beat me, stabbed me, and left me to die in that dark alley. It took years to find him, years of pain for my family and fear for my friends. But in the end, DNA caught up to him, and he was sentenced to life in prison. Still, my life was cut short, all because we thought we were invincible that night. Message to the listener. My story is a reminder that danger can strike anywhere, even when you feel safest. Always stay aware of your surroundings and never let your guard down, even for a second. My tragedy could be the reason someone else survives. It was supposed to be a fun night out with friends, but I never made it back. My name is Mihaljevic, and on October 30th, 1989, I was abducted and murdered at the age of 10. That afternoon, I left school like any other day, but this day was different. A man had been calling me, pretending to be a friend of my mother's, saying he wanted to buy her a surprise gift. He asked me to meet him at the shopping center, and I trusted him. I waited for him outside the store, excited to pick out a gift for my mom. But when he arrived, something wasn't right. He took me by the hand and led me to his car. I was too scared to scream, too shocked to run. He drove me away, far from the safety of home, far from everything I knew. Days later, my body was found in a field. My clothes were missing, and I had been brutally murdered. To this day, my killer remains free, and my family still waits for justice. I was just a little girl who trusted the wrong person, and now, I'm gone. My story could have been prevented if I had known not to trust strangers. Teach your children that even those who seem kind can be dangerous. My tragedy could help save someone else from making the same mistake. I thought it was just another date, until it turned into a nightmare. My name is Sepich, and on August 19th, 2014, I was raped and murdered after a night out with friends. That evening, everything seemed normal. I was heading home after a party when I noticed a man following me. I picked up my pace, but so did he. Panic surged as I realized I couldn't outrun him. He caught up with me just a few blocks from my apartment. Before I could scream, he overpowered me, dragging me into the darkness. I fought as hard as I could, but he was stronger. The pain was unbearable as he violated me, and then strangled me until the world went black. My life ended that night, and my body was discarded like I was nothing. It took months for my family to get justice. DNA evidence finally linked the man who took my life to other crimes. He had hurt others before me, but it took my death to stop him. My family fought tirelessly to make sure no one else would suffer like I did, and because of them, laws were passed requiring DNA samples from violent criminals. My life was taken, but my story saved others. My family's fight for justice led to Katie's Law, which could protect you or someone you love. Don't let my death be in vain. Always stay alert and trust your instincts when something feels wrong. I was talking to my boyfriend on the phone when everything went dark. My name is Angela Hammond, and on April 4th, 1991, I was abducted from a small-town parking lot. It started as an ordinary night. I was on the phone with Rob, my boyfriend, chatting as I sat in my car outside a convenience store. Out of the corner of my eye, I noticed a dirty old truck pull up. The man inside looked strange, but I tried not to think too much of it. Then, out of nowhere, he approached me, asking if I needed help. Before I knew what was happening, he grabbed me, pulling me into his truck. Rob heard my screams over the phone, but by the time he got to the scene, I was gone. They searched, but it was like I had disappeared into thin air. I never made it home that night. My abductor vanished, leaving behind no clues, no trace of where I had been taken. To this day, no one knows who took me or why. My family still waits for answers, but I fear they may never find the truth. I thought I was safe, even in my small town. My story shows that danger can strike anywhere. Always be aware of your surroundings and trust your instincts if something doesn't feel right. Learn from my tragedy so you or someone you love doesn't become the next victim. I thought we were safe in our own home, but we were never safe. My name is Cassie Jo Stoddart, and on July 20th, 1979, my life ended in a brutal, senseless attack by people I thought were my friends. It was supposed to be just another night of house-sitting for my aunt and uncle. They were away, and I had the whole place to myself. It was a beautiful house in a quiet neighborhood, a perfect night for a little peace and quiet. My boyfriend Matt came over to keep me company, and for a while it was just a normal evening. But things started feeling strange when two of our friends, Brian and Tori, showed up unannounced. They hung around for a while, acting weird, like they had something on their minds. I couldn't shake the feeling that something was off, but I didn't want to be rude. I was just 16, trying to be polite, trying to ignore the growing unease in my stomach. They left after a while, but I still felt uneasy. I chalked it up to nerves and the empty house. But as the night wore on, the feeling got worse. Matt eventually left, and I was alone. That's when things took a darker turn. I started hearing noises in the basement, doors opening and closing, faint whispers. I tried to ignore it, telling myself it was just the old house settling. But then the power went out. My heart raced as I fumbled through the dark, searching for a flashlight. The silence was thick, the kind that presses in on you. That's when I saw it. Two masked figures standing in the doorway. My stomach dropped. I screamed, but there was no one around to hear me. They lunged at me, knives flashing in the dim light. I tried to run, but they were faster. I felt the first stab before I even knew what was happening. I collapsed, blood pouring from my wounds as they kept stabbing. Over and over, laughing, taunting me. They took my life that night, leaving me bleeding on the floor of a house that had once felt like home. My friends, Brian and Tori, had planned this. They had stalked me, plotted my death like it was some twisted game. They filmed it too, a sick trophy of their violence. They were caught, tried, and sentenced to life in prison. But no sentence will bring me back, or undo the terror I felt in my final moments. I trusted them because they were my friends, but they were hiding a darkness I never saw coming. If someone in your life is showing signs of disturbing behavior, speak up. Don't ignore the warning signs. My story is proof that even those closest to us can be dangerous. I trusted him to take me home. He took me somewhere far worse. My name is Angela Samota, and on November 1st, 1984, I was murdered by a man I thought I could trust. I was a 20-year-old college student at Southern Methodist University. Life was good. I had a tight-knit group of friends, a bright future, and a carefree attitude. But that all changed in a single night when everything I thought was safe was shattered. That evening, my friends and I went out to a local club. We had fun dancing and enjoying the night, but as it got late, we decided to head home. My boyfriend was busy, so I caught a ride with a man I had just met. He seemed friendly, and after all, we had mutual friends. I thought I was safe. But as we drove, I realized we weren't heading in the direction of my apartment. I asked him where we were going, but he only smiled. Fear set in as we pulled into a dark, secluded spot. My heart pounded as I realized I was trapped. I begged him to take me home, but instead, he turned on me. His hands were on me before I could react, forcing me into the back seat. The terror I felt was overwhelming as he raped me, taking everything from me in that cold, dark car. But it wasn't over. When he was done, he pulled out a knife. I barely had time to scream before he started stabbing me, over and over. The pain was unbearable, but the fear was worse. I knew I wasn't going to make it. He left me there, bleeding, broken, and alone. By the time help arrived, it was too late. It took over 20 years, but my killer was eventually caught, thanks to DNA evidence. A man named Donald Bess had taken my life that night, and for decades he walked free. He's now on death row, but justice came too late for me. My life was stolen because I trusted the wrong person. My story is a reminder that not everyone who seems friendly can be trusted. If you ever feel uncomfortable or something doesn't seem right, don't ignore it. My tragedy could be the reason someone else makes it home safely. I was a good student, a rule follower, but on this day, breaking the rules cost me my life. My name is Melissa Witt, and on December 1st, 1994, I was abducted and murdered in Fort Smith, Arkansas. I was 19 years old, just starting to get the hang of college life. That day, everything seemed normal. I went to my classes, hung out with friends, and finally decided to visit my mom after her shift at the local bowling alley. I wasn't planning to stay long, just dropped by to say hello. But something was off as soon as I arrived. A man was lingering in the parking lot, his eyes on me the entire time. I tried to brush it off as I walked toward the entrance, but as soon as I opened my car door to get out, he grabbed me. I didn't even have time to scream before he dragged me toward his vehicle, throwing me inside like I was nothing more than cargo. I remember the smell of his car, stale sweat and something else, something metallic. My hands were tied, my body frozen in terror. I begged him to let me go, to just take my car, my money, anything. But he wasn't interested in things. He wanted control, power. He wanted me. He drove for hours before pulling off into the woods. There he took his time. He hurt me, humiliated me, and when he was finished, he strangled me to death. I couldn't fight anymore. My body gave out long before my spirit did. They found my remains 45 days later, buried deep in the woods. My family was devastated, but they never gave up on finding justice. Despite their relentless efforts, my killer has never been caught. He's still out there, somewhere, free to do this to someone else. Trust your instincts. If something feels off, it probably is. My story is a reminder that danger doesn't always come in the form of a stranger in a dark alley. Sometimes it's the man watching you in a parking lot. Stay vigilant and protect yourself. My tragedy could save someone's life. I had the whole summer ahead of me, but I never saw the sunrise again. My name is Lauren Spierer, and on June 2nd, 2011, I disappeared without a trace from Bloomington, Indiana. I was 20 years old, a college student at Indiana University, enjoying the freedom and excitement of summer. That night started like so many others. A night out with friends, bar hopping, laughing, making memories. As the night wound down, I decided to head home. My apartment was just a few blocks away, and I didn't think anything could go wrong. But something did. After I left my friends, I was never seen again. It's like I vanished into thin air. No one knows what happened in those final moments. My friends didn't hear from me again. My phone stopped working, and the surveillance cameras that should have caught me walking home show nothing after a certain point. I never made it to my apartment. For days, they searched for me. Flyers with my face covered every street corner, news stations picked up my story, and volunteers combed the area. But no one found a single trace of where I went or who took me. My parents, devastated, pleaded for answers, but to this day, no one knows what happened to me. My case remains unsolved, a mystery lost in the dark streets of Bloomington. The man who took me could still be out there, living his life while my family suffers every day, wondering where I am. My disappearance is a reminder that safety isn't guaranteed, even in familiar places. Always stay with your friends, and don't assume you're invincible. My story could be the reason someone else makes it home safe. I was out for a run. It was supposed to be just another summer day. My name is Mollie Tibbetts, and on July 18th, 2018, I went for a jog through my small hometown of Brooklyn, Iowa. It was the middle of the summer, and I had a habit of running every day. It was something that made me feel strong, independent, alive. But that day, I didn't make it back home. I remember the heat of the sun on my skin, the rhythm of my feet hitting the pavement, and the sense of peace I always felt when I ran. But then I noticed a car driving slowly behind me. At first, I tried to ignore it, thinking it was nothing. But as the minutes passed, the car didn't leave. I started to feel uneasy. I picked up my pace, hoping to lose it, but the car sped up too. Then the driver pulled over. A man got out and approached me. My heart raced as I tried to stay calm, telling him I didn't need help, that I was fine. But he wasn't listening. He grabbed me, dragging me toward his car. I fought back as hard as I could, but he was too strong. I screamed for help, but there was no one around to hear me. He drove me to a secluded area, far from the safety of the town. I knew then that I wouldn't make it out alive. He killed me that day, leaving my body hidden in a cornfield. It took weeks for the search teams to find me, but by then it was too late. My family was shattered, my future stolen by a man who had no right to take it. My killer was caught, a man named Christian Bahena Rivera. He confessed to what he had done, but no confession will bring me back. My life was taken in a moment of senseless violence, and now my family has to live with the void I left behind. My story is a reminder that no one is invulnerable. Stay aware of your surroundings, even in places that feel safe. My death could be the warning that saves someone else from making the same mistake.